Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. This mic sounds a little soft. Mr. Weiner?
Why don't you guys give me a little bit more volume up there? Thank you.
Thank you for fighting the weather tonight. It seems like every year when we have this event, and thankfully this year wasn't as bad as what it oftentimes is. We have ice or snow, or today was just the rain. So thank you very much for coming out in the ugly weather and joining us this evening. Tonight, we want to do some introductions, and by the way, this morning when I was speaking to your children when they came over for our concert, I forgot to introduce myself, so let me get that out of the way. My name is Sean Connor. I'm principal here at Zionsville Middle School, and I started that gig way back in 1999, so a long time ago. And my two children went to this school. So it wasn't terribly long ago when my wife had a front row seat. She had a notepad out and ready to take notes, and I thought she was kidding when it was first starting, but it turned out that wasn't the case. And anyway, that was a really neat experience for me to perceive this school through the eyes of someone who didn't work here every day. And so, and many of us that you'll hear from tonight have had children come to this school. How many of you have just a little bit of trepidation about your kiddos coming here to this facility next year? Okay. The ones that didn't raise their hand probably already have kids here. Or they're liars, one or two, you don't know. But when you drive up to this facility and you look at the size of it, you're thinking, oh my gosh, my baby is 10 years old and he or she is going to go into that school. I promise you, with everything that we do, we keep in mind that we're working with 10-year-olds. And I'll talk a little bit later about how the facility is set up and how we work with different things academically to take into account the different age levels of our kids. So tonight we want to do some introductions. We want to understand course selection. The reason that we're here in February, you might have been wondering why are we here in February, is because we start the master scheduling process here in the next couple of weeks. And the big selection that fourth graders coming in as fifth graders need to make is their music course selection. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but that's something that we, in our schedule building process, need to start now. And so, again, if you're wondering why did they make me come out in this ugly weather, it's because of timing for that. We want to talk a little bit about the ZMS structure. We will learn about fifth grade organization, you know, how we handle things academically in grade 5 versus the other grades. Hear about the fourth to fifth transition supports. So today was one of those things. How many of you heard from your son or daughter that they were here today? Great. So we're hoping that kind of starts to take or have a foothold, and they start thinking about what it's like to come to Zionsville Middle School. So we will bring them in again in the spring. We'll talk about this in a minute, but and then back to school days and those kinds of things. So our purpose is to get them familiar with the building and comfortable here. We'll talk a little bit about our one-to-one program. It's a big change between grade 4 and grade 5. Give you an opportunity to ask questions, and then at the end, our ambassadors, our student ambassadors, will offer a building tour for any of you who would like to walk around the facility. So by the way, my clicker is broken. I'm having to use this little scroll thing. I'm terrible at it, so forgive me if you think, man, what is wrong with that guy? I really can click a button, I just can't scroll this thing live, so sorry about that. So transition to fifth grade. This is what I was just talking about. So today they came to visit for a concert. In fact, that picture there is from today. Those are fifth graders got to perform for your fourth graders, and they had a great time doing that. The music teachers will visit the elementary schools March 20th and 25th. If you're wondering about that, one of the things is, and they'll talk a little bit more about this, they will kind of have an instrument petting zoo on those days. And the reason that we do things in the order that we do is we want kids to have already selected what course they're going to be in, so that a child that you think is going to be in choir doesn't come home saying, yay, tomorrow I'm going to, or next year I'm playing the bass, and you weren't okay with that. So to have made that decision before they go start working with the instruments. School visit number 2 is in April, so the kids will come over and spend a little bit longer with us, and we'll talk about the teachers that they may have, and the kids will get a chance to open their locker. Things that's the big, let's face it, that's the big thing they want, is they want a locker. So they'll get a chance to open a locker when they're here. And then back to school days, it feels to me like this gets earlier and earlier every year. They are in July now, so July 27th and 28th is, those are 2 days where we have the facility open throughout the day. They come in, they get their scheduled locker combination, so they can walk their schedule, they can open their locker, they can decorate it if they want to. And locker decorations seem to be more and more ornate every year. The chandelier was a big one for me a couple of years ago. I never needed a chandelier in my locker, but evidently that's a thing now. And we take yearbook pictures on those days as well. See, I told you I can't scroll. Sorry, Blair, can you give me? One more, please. So, academic transitions. There are more and more 5 through 8 buildings that are popping up across the state, and a lot of times I really think that's driven by the size of the community, and we need another building and how we're going to configure, and so population is something that makes that determination. One of the things that is wonderful about 5 through 8 middle school is this period of time where kids are going through rapid change physically, emotionally, mentally, and when they can have one home base for that time instead of switching school years multiple times throughout, really helps them out. When I first became a principal, we had grades 7 and 8. So we had one school that had 5, 6, and another school that had 7, 8, and kids were constantly in transition. It really wasn't good for them. And so one of the things that we have now is a home base for a long period of time. But when you do that, we feel that it's important that you treat those ages differently, because a 5th grader and an 8th grader, they don't look alike. Developmentally, they're not the same, and so we don't, it's not a one-size-fits-all school. So in grade 5, we have one course that we call humanities that students spend 3 periods out of their 7 in that. That's why the funny number, 43%. When you're dealing in 7ths, they're a little strange numbers. But so 43% of their day is in their humanities classrooms. They have one teacher during that time. The other thing that we do in grade 5 is that the kids have the same teacher for math and science. So all of their core academics happen with 2 teachers. So one teacher they have math and science with, and the other they have all their social studies and language arts items with in the humanities course. And then we have exploratory classes that we'll talk about a little bit, and then they have their music class as well. So if you then look at 6th grade, we don't do that math science combo with our 6th graders, so they have a different teacher for those 2 subjects. So they still have humanities where they're there in one spot for a big part of their day. They also have oftentimes their PRT class, which is kind of a homeroom with their 2, so sometimes it's even more in nearly half. And then in 7th and 8th grade, we have academic teams, so we have a team of teachers that has a group of kids. So we structure it a little differently, but every period, students have a different teacher. So that's 14% of their day each period with a different adult, whereas in grades 5 and 6, we try to give them a home base and keep them in one place for a little longer. Sorry, this is, I'm sorry, Blair. This is just another way to look at what I just said. If you think in each column that one color represents an adult in your child's life, that's what their day might look like. So in grade 5, you'll have 3 periods of humanities, you'll have a period of math, a period of science with the same teacher, you'll have your exploratory classes and your music class. I don't want you to think that they always go in that order. That's just an example. Grade 6, basically the same thing, except you notice it's a different teacher for math and science, and then grades 7 and 8, different color for every period. Fifth grade courses, humanities, math, science, exploratory, music. One thing that people have frequently asked at this point is, you say music class, they meet every day, all year long. And so that's not something that, it's not a pull-out or anything like that. It is one of their courses. And then PRT, I mentioned, is a study hall around the lunchtime. And then our 5th graders still have recess. So we come in here, this is our cafeteria, as you probably figured out. And then once the kids are finishing eating, and we go ahead and get them outside, they're outside a little longer than our other students are in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So exploratory, I mentioned those a couple of times in the last few slides. Physical education and health are a combined course with one teacher over the course of a semester. It could be first semester, could be second semester, but it's a semester-long course. Sometimes they meet in the health room, sometimes they meet in one of the 2 gymnasiums, sometimes they're outside. That's all predetermined, and the teachers let the kids know what that schedule is, so it's not, they don't make it up that day, but it's all scheduled so that they can integrate those 2 items, because it doesn't really make sense to take health outside of phys ed when it's all really the same thing. Art, the kids have for 9 weeks, and then Project Lead the Way is probably a course that I know that when I was growing up, I know you guys are much younger than I am, I'm ancient, but in fact, do I have any former students in here? No? You just didn't want to admit it, did you? I had like 5 last year, so it's hard to believe, but it does happen to me now. When I was in school, there was no such thing as Project Lead the Way. It is a curriculum that changes from one year to the next. The kids take medical detectives as 5th graders as part of their PLTW. The thing that they love the most, probably the activity that they love the most, is dissecting of the sheep brains. But it's a course that really reinforces a lot of what they're learning in the science classroom, sometimes in the math classroom. As 6th grade, they work on design. 7th grade is flight and space, and 8th grade is programming and robotics. As I mentioned, all the students have 1 year-long course. We offer 3 different music courses. One's band, one is choir, and one is orchestra. And rather than hearing about those from me, I'm going to turn it over to the experts. Who's first? Mrs. Bohm, our choir teacher.
I'm going to stand here so I can actually see you because I'm so short. I am Mrs. Bohm. This is my 6th year here, my 23rd year of teaching. I've lived here 11 years now, raised my children here. I have one that's now a sophomore in college and one that's a sophomore in high school. And I can't believe I'm that old, but anyway. We had so much fun performing for your children today. It was really cute. The last song we did, a number of kids were like, oh! And they were actually, I think they're learning it. And they sang it with us, and it was so adorable. I was like, yay, I picked a song I know. So it was really cute. So for choir, it's just like band and orchestra. We learn the same stuff. Your kids are going to learn vocabulary, rhythms, what? Oh, Jack? Shh. Sorry. And how to read notes. And we do all the same lessons on the same week. So it's kind of cool, like the kids in choir, orchestra, and band. Hey, did you know this word? Do you know this? Do you know how to read ledger lines? What are ledger lines? But they can work together, which is really great. We talked to the kids today about one shoe doesn't fit everybody. And just because your best friends go into one thing, maybe you're having interest over here, and that's great. And it's really great because they support each other, and we have a lot of fun with that. And choir, we're very busy, just like the other areas. We do Circle the State every year. I'm actually sending a group of 15 kids down there. I'm not going with them. My teaching partner, because she's very pregnant, I don't know if I should be sending her on a bus. I'm rethinking that. But anyway, she's going with them over the President's Day weekend on that Saturday, and we go up to Lafayette, and they get to sing with a bunch of other kids from the area, and they all know the same songs, and it's really fun. And again, that's a choice, but it's really fun to do that. And another thing we do is I have a swing choir twice a week that we do, Tuesdays and Wednesdays before school, and the kids, believe it or not, they come in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, which is shocking because it's early, but they're here and ready to go. Again, that's a choice, and I have kids in there from band and orchestra as well. That's usually a question that is asked of me, and I'm like, yes, they can come and sing. I'm trying to think what else we have. When we travel as a music department. It's not just like choir going to go on a school trip and the band. We travel together, so it's just really fun. They get to be with their friends. Again, one shoe does not fit all. And I don't know if there's anything else. And there's other opportunities out there. I also have worked for the Indianapolis Children's Choir for the last 7 years in their regional. So if you have a child that loves to sing and wants to keep pursuing that, we have those opportunities as well. And I'm not going to keep talking because everybody else needs to talk. Anyway, if you have any questions, you can email me or, oh, you have a question? Oh, it's the same for all of us. We figured it out, it's 4 a year, and that included today. Is that right?
We're just going to do questions at the end.
Yeah, and we'll do more questions at the end too, so if you hear from everybody. Okay, next. Josh Weber.
Hi everybody, my name is Josh Wyrick. I lead the 7th and 8th grade bands, but all 3 of us guys over here teach all the grades of the bands, and I'm a woodwind specialist. So that means I specialize in saxophone, flute, clarinet, and oboe. This is my 19th year of working here at Zionsville Middle School, which makes me sound really old. But guess what, everybody? I've got a 5th grader and a 3rd grader and a preschooler, so that makes me the same age as all of you. But I have a great job. It's been, when I came here when I was 13 years old, it was really exciting. I started teaching, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been neat to see the program grow in numbers and in quality. We've been able to take groups all over the country to play. We've gone to contests in Illinois, and Ohio, and Kentucky, and Tennessee, and we're about to do our 4th trip to Disney World next week. So it's been a very exciting thing to be a part of. And I'd like to introduce our newest teacher to the music department and to the band, Mr. Evan Schroeder.
Hi, I'm Evan Schroeder. I'm in my 5th year of teaching. First year here at Zionsville Middle School professionally. I student taught here 5 years ago with these 2 guys. I'm a percussion specialist, so we've got a woodwind percussionist. I bet you can't guess what's coming next. Bagpipes. So as Michelle mentioned, we do have 4 concerts a year. Today included during the day. But we also offer extracurricular activities as well. We do before and after school rehearsals Tuesdays and Thursdays for a group called Rock Band and a group called Jazz Band. These are optional. These are just additional experiences that kids can participate in. Our Rock Band it mostly consists of 5th and 6th graders. We also have 7th and 8th graders in Rock Band. And then Jazz Band, a little more difficult music, so we typically see more 7th and 8th graders in Jazz Band. With the Rock Band, we get to perform at some really cool basketball games. The Rock Band will perform at a middle school basketball game, a high school basketball game, and we performed at Butler versus Seton Hall basketball game this year, which was really cool. So we get to see all levels of competition and play really fun tunes for them. So yeah, that's our extra groups, and I'm going to hand it over to our bagpipe specialist, Mr. Chris Murray.
It's Chris O'Murray. No, I'm Chris Murray. I'm the middle-aged band director of the 3, so we had to have one young, one medium, and so I wanted to say, yeah. Oh, whoops. No, I wanted to give you just a few quick details about what's coming up for your kids. So I hope the message that you're really hearing from all the music teachers tonight is no matter what selection that you and your students make, they're going to be in an amazing program. We have a just a world-class, this sounds really like bragging, but I'm just so proud of everybody that's in this department. And there are certain things you have to do to get, like there's an award that an organization called ISMA gives out. We were one of, I think, 6 middle schools last year that got it, which was the ISMA All Music, All Department Award. That there were a number of things that band, orchestra, choir all had to do and get gold ratings in, and we got that last year. And that's something that excellence is something that we strive for every year. So whatever choice you and your child decide is right, whatever shoe fits, it's going to be a beautiful shoe. That was the wrong way to end that metaphor. I want to let you know the next step for you is in that deciding process is the due date for the music selection forms is Monday, February 10th, which is Monday. And so that goes to the 4th grade homeroom teacher at their elementary schools. Whatever they select on the form is what they will try out when we visit the elementary schools later in March. So if they select orchestra, they'll try out stringed instruments, and Miss Carney will talk about that in just a moment. If they select choir, they'll find out what voice they are. If they select band, they'll get to experience the instrument petting zoo, as Mr. Connor put it. But we'll be at Pleasant View on March 20th and Union on March 25th. They'll come in as one homeroom at a time, and we will demonstrate all the instruments for them again, like they heard today. We'll describe what they are, what physical characteristics are helpful to have for each instrument. But the most important thing is that we will find the instrument that your son or daughter is the most excited about playing, but also something that is going to be easy for them to pick up and play. That they won't feel hindered by frustrations and want to give up, because we've got a lot of awesome opportunities for them here. And then the other date after that will be for instrumental parents. Will be the instrumental rental night, which is hard to say, instrumental rental night, and that'll be Thursday, April 9th in here at 6:30 p.m. And we'll just talk about how to get an instrument, or if you already have one, but it was like, you know, a kid shows up, it's like, this was my great-grandmother's clarinet, and then you look at it and it falls into dust. That might not be great. But if you have that and it's still in a solid state, or kind of, bring it on that night, on April 9th, and we'll take a look at it and make sure that it's, usable. And then the other date I want to let you know about, there is a string, this is totally optional, this is the 6th year, I believe, we've done it. And it's the second half of July. We hold a Zionsville Middle School Band Academy and Strings Academy. And that is the week of July 13th, Monday to Thursday, and then the following week, the 20th to the 23rd. Sign-ups won't be available until, I think, the beginning of March, and that is completely optional, but it's a really fun time that we like to get a head start with the students. And with that, I'd like to bring up our orchestra director, Ms. Ashley Carney.
Hi everybody, this is my 2nd year at ZMS and my 8th year teaching, and let me tell you, I love orchestra, and I'm sure that some of your children will love orchestra next year as well. Our curriculum is a lot like the band and choir. We learn all of the same skills at the same time. It's just, we're all going to the same destination, it's just a different vehicle getting us there. So for those of you who are like, my child came back from the concert today and they want to play the viola. It's the viola, and it's a great thing. So, and if they don't know anything about music and you think they're tone deaf, they are coming to wonderful teachers who can teach them everything they need to know. The majority of the students that we get at ZMS come into our music programs with very base, simple knowledge, and we get them to do what they did today for your children. So the things that make the orchestra program slightly different from the band and choir is that we are morning activities that are completely optional, are typically for all of our older grades. However, if any of you guys have children who have string experience, or maybe were part of Mrs. Plewa's elementary program, we have String and Eagles, which is our extracurricular orchestra program that meets in the mornings, and they just perform different kinds of music that we don't typically do year-round in class. So more pop music and movie music and jazz music and those kinds of genres. And then our other group that meets in the morning is called United Sound. So if you are a parent of a student who has special needs, this is a club for the orchestra students in 7th and 8th grade to teach the students with special needs how to play our instruments when they typically wouldn't be allowed to do that in the normal school day. Aside from that, Mr. Murray shared with you about our pages, or our instrument rental night, And one of the pieces of information that if your child chooses orchestra, that you'll receive from me is the size of their instrument. So if you, again, were a parent today and your child came home and they're like this tall and like, Mom, I want to play bass. And you know that the bass is taller than me. That's okay. All of our instruments come in different sizes. So if you get a letter from me in a couple of weeks after the visit at our elementary schools, pay attention to the size because they are all different and they fit your child specifically. So I think that wraps up my end of the deal. So who's next? Mr. Carr. Mrs. Lee.
Good evening, my name is Blair Williams, and I am actually up here on stage and in your seat because I will have a 5th grader coming to this building next year as well. This is my 15th year in this building, 13 as a teacher and 2 in this role. So I'm really happy to be here. I love ZMS, and I think you'll learn to love it just as much. So one thing that is very different about 5th grade from 4th grade is that we are a one-to-one school, which means that your child will have a computer with them all day long. We have a program set up that I'll get to in a minute, but different options for them as far as devices to use. But I'm sure you have many questions about, is my child going to be on the computer all day long and what that might look like. So our purpose with the one-to-one program, we're very intentional about the reason that we're doing this. So we have this set up to prepare our students for the future, and really not even the future, it's today, it's right now. So we're teaching them skills about how to be good digital citizens on devices and on the internet. They're taught how to find sources that are appropriate to what they're studying. We have the ability for them to use primary sources right in the moment. When students ask those questions in the classroom that teachers are like, I don't even know the answer to that, we take a minute and we look it up so we can have those meaningful discussions in the moment. We want to encourage your child to have those questions, be inquisitive, and take what they're learning to another level. This also allows our students to work very collaboratively. I know a lot of times, parents, myself included, we're always wondering, I want them to get off the devices and I want them to interact with people. This actually allows that in a really meaningful way. So we have shared documents that they can use. We do a lot of work in our science classes. 5th graders get to have science every single day, which is awesome. But they get to collaborate with their peers with data collection in science and in Project Lead the Way. They can create graphs in a meaningful way, and we're teaching them to do this in a way that professionals in the field use these programs. This also offers an opportunity to extend the classroom walls. So no longer are we just teaching them in the constructs of the physical building, but they're interacting with people across the world by posting information on their EduBlocks accounts, and they are creating those authentic pieces of work. Instead of just consuming information, they're actually producers of work. This also allows for our students to self-express through writing, and they can, as I mentioned, post on sites. They can peer edit with each other on those shared documents. So it just gives our students a lot of opportunities. We do work really hard to make sure that they know appropriate ways to use these devices, appropriate internet sites to visit. We do have filters and all of that kind of stuff that I'm sure you're wondering about. So we, as I mentioned, do this with intentionality, and we make sure that our students are safe when they're working online. So the way this program is set up, we have 2 options here at the middle school. We have a BYOD program, Bring Your Own Device, which about 90% of our students do bring their own devices. On our website, you can access a document that gives you specifications about devices we recommend, the requirements that they need, that we don't really want them bringing iPads and tablets. We really want them devices that they can create on. So all of that information is on our website. We do also have a rental program, and that is through our student fees. So just like when you get a fee at the beginning of the year, a textbook rental fee, that would be included in a textbook rental fee. If they rent, they do get to take it home every day. But we do encourage that bring your own device system. That way they can keep it through the summer, they have more ownership in their device. And we do a lot of work in the beginning of 5th grade, especially on how to take care of your device and what type of case you want to have when you're moving from class to class. So our 5th grade teachers do a great job of introducing all of that information to our students. And I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Macaluso.
Thank you. My name is Mitzi Macaluso, and I'm one of our 2 assistant principals here at ZMS. All of you had a choice this evening. There are a lot of things that you could go out and you could do, or you could be in your cozy pants and at home, but you chose to be here learning about something for your child. And I think that speaks a lot to the community that we live in, the community that I have the privilege to educate in. So thank you very much for making a choice for your child and being here this evening. As Mrs. Williams was talking about being a parent in your seat as well as up here, I'm not far removed. I have a son who finished 4 years here and is a high school freshman this year. So it was a different type of transition, but a transition just the same. As Mr. Wyrick was talking about being here for that long, we were talking earlier, next year we will be celebrating our 20th anniversary year at ZMS, and the 3 of us are some of the original staff that were here at ZMS. So you have some sages on the stage here. So your children will be in great hands, but as well, we have wonderful teachers who are at all different levels of experience, which is a wonderful blend for bringing your children great opportunities, which is what I'm going to talk about. We have activities for both 7th and 8th graders and for 5th and 6th graders, and some that are combined. You heard our music department discuss different organizations, clubs, extracurriculars that are available to your students with the music program. We also have an art club for 5th and 6th grade. We have an art club for 7th and 8th grade. We have yearbook our students can get involved with, so they can tap into those creative pieces. We also have a writers club that students can belong to. We also have athletics that students can participate in. Many of our athletics are for students in 7th and 8th grade, but we do have a running club in 5th grade. We're just getting ready to start Girls on the Run with our 5th grade students, so we're excited about that. We also have wrestling, which is available to students in some of our younger grades, just for multiple reasons. But we do have lightweight classes, and we find that sometimes it's our 5th and 6th grade students that are those really great fits for that. But I think that you will find that we really work to take a large setting and make it small so that your child feels connected and your child feels known, and that there are different people throughout their day that are building relationships with them. Because we know that's one of the keys to making kids successful. One of the things we partner with in making some of these activities great is our PTO, our parent-teacher organization. Our PTO president for this school year is Katie Glenn, and one of the things that our PTO does to raise money isn't jog-a-thon, it's not sales of different items that you may have run across in the past, but we really rely on a membership drive. So on those back-to-school days, July 27th and 28th, you will find here in Eagle Hall, there will be different tables set up, and one of those tables will be our PTO table. And they're going to ask you at that time to join our membership, because it's what makes us strong, it's what makes our school alive. And through that membership drive, that's our biggest fundraiser, we do classroom grants. So 2 times a year, at the beginning of the year, it's kind of an opening up the classroom. What kinds of things do you need? Here's a set amount of money. Go with it, put it to use doing great things for kids. Then we also have classroom grants where teachers in our building can write a grant looking for something particular. We've had different teachers who wrote for dynamic seating in their class. so that students can sit in different ways, because we know that some students need to move around a little bit more. We've had them help us with technology. They've funded our outdoor classroom through one of our other great activities that involves our students, and that's our Z Run. So each spring, usually in the month of April, we have a 5K? Okay, we have a 5K, and we also have a 1 mile dog walk, family walk that you can do. We use this activity as a way to get our kids moving, our families connected, and you'll see a lot of staff out there. Through that, again, we have funded our outdoor classroom, the student murals that you might have seen when you were walking through our building, as well as fitness equipment that are part of our physical education program, our new equipment in our LGI, which is our large group instruction room, as well as library equipment for our students. We also have student and teacher appreciation that come through our PTO, and your students will have the opportunity sometimes leading into different activities they'll bring in and have a healthy ice pop that's a fruit juice for them, like just to say, hey, it's the start of spring. Here we know it's a little bit hard to keep going, but here's something that just celebrates you being you. And as well, they are large in philanthropy and being able to help our students, sometimes partnering with them about what's something that they would like to do. Where do we want to give back? This year, our PTO as well has purchased bottle filler stations that we will be putting at all of in each academic wing, so students can fill their water bottles throughout the day. So we are very, very lucky and blessed to be able to have such an amazing partnership with our parents, and we look forward to you joining and being part of that partnership as well. All right, next up, I think I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Connor, but again, thank you for coming out this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Michaelis. So I like to throw in pictures that have something to do with the topic on the slide. I've kept this picture in here for years and years. Those two little boys who were 5th graders at the time are now 24 years old, literally. So it gives you an idea how old that picture is. But this is the end of our Z Run after it's finished, and I noticed the only person who's bent over is me. I don't know what that says about me, but I'm sure I had a really good time. So this is the portion of the show where I turn into Angela Buckman. I go up to my weather map and show you about the building. What was that?
You turn into Sean Ash, her counterpart.
Sean Ash? One of the things that we were saying earlier about trying to keep the building small is that we have 4 academic wings in the building, and you notice that they are identical to one another. So this is the downstairs of the building, and each academic wing basically has a rectangle and then one hallway that extends from it. So as the kids go from grade 5 to grade 6, all they do is move upstairs to a wing that looks identical to the one that they were in as 5th graders. As 7th and 8th graders, they have the mirror image of what they had as 5th and 6th graders. So the design of the building, even though it's a very large structure, is really not all that complicated, and I think it's conducive to making the kids have easy transitions. The other thing I like to tell people about our grade 5 wing, if you stand in this spot, so this is our science lab here, but if you stand in this spot, you can see every core academic classroom that we use in grade 5. So we use these 2 rooms, these rooms, and those 2 rooms. Those are the only rooms that we use for our 5th graders for any of their core academic classes. We have a preschool daycare, so we have 6-week-old infants in this hallway to give you an idea of just kind of the ruffians that your children will be running around with. So these classrooms are used for our preschool. So anyway, as you can see, that they will be out and about the building when they come to lunch, or when they go to art, or when they go to phys ed, and so on. But most of that day, they're in one little spot within this building, and it really becomes home to them. One of the things that I love to tell people about this building is this spot right here, which is kind of where all the academic wings converge, right, is the center stairway. And one of my favorite things to do is watch the fifth graders come down this hallway, like when they leave their band classroom, and they kind of own it. They kind of spread themselves out. The seventh and eighth graders kind of walk to the side of it. And when the fifth graders go to lunch, they leave here and they go this direction. Well, they're on the wrong side. Well, it doesn't matter to them. They don't go to the correct side. They just take over the wrong side. And all the other kids just kind of walk around them and so on. So it's really kind of a social experiment to watch, but it is a lot of fun. I think I've got a couple more. Start end times, a lot of folks are interested in that. 8:45 is when we begin. We end at 3:45. Our front doors open at 8 o'clock. People try to push us on that a lot and want to drop their children off earlier. Please don't do that. When we were in the other facility, I used to joke that the only window in that whole place was the principal's office, which was a terrible thing, right? The only guy with the window. But it was before we had a records program, before we had the doors open to kids, and I'd look out my window and I'd see these kids, in 20-degree weather with no coat on and short sleeves and out there shivering. And so anyway, we started a breakfast program. We started letting kids come in and not waiting to, but please don't take advantage of that. We're not staffed for it. And so if you would, now occasionally we'll have a meeting or something that might start at 7:50 or 7:55 or something like that. If there is someone who's supervising your child, then that's by all means, please do. But otherwise, please don't drop them off until 8 o'clock. And the front lobby is the place to drop them off. We don't allow students down in this end of the building until 8:25. I think I've got one more slide. Nope, two more slides. Counselors, I would like to introduce Mrs. Liddell, who will be your child's counselor for the next 4 years. We loop our counselors, and so she's currently our 8th grade. She's in the toughest spot to be in this building because she's got kids who are transitioning to the high school that she's helping schedule, and then she's got your kiddos who are coming into us. So she's kind of in that transition mode. So I'll introduce Mrs. Liddell.
Thank you. So I'm so excited. I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience here. So I think there's a lot of siblings, and I live in this community as well, so I see a lot of neighbors and familiar faces, which is great. And by the end of our time together, at the end of 4 years, you will be familiar faces. And please don't be frightened if you hear from me. Usually when I call parents, I say, everything's fine, they're okay, nothing's wrong. Because when I call a parent, they always think that something terrible has happened. So I try to get to know every student's name. I'm in the classroom teaching lessons, being proactive to help your students. I also offer individual counseling and small group counseling that's embedded in the school day. It's not an extra charge or anything. And so one thing to keep in mind is I'm also going to help schedule your children, and we have some forms that are coming up that are due. There's a parent form, there's a music selection form, and then your teachers are also filling out forms to help let us know the needs of your children and how to help them be successful. So make sure you turn those forms in to your elementary school by February 10th, and then we're going to start the scheduling process for 5th grade. It's so exciting. Just a little bit about me. I have some ruffians in the building in that preschool wing, so it's going to be interesting. I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, so I will have he'll be 2. I'll have a 2-year-old next year in the same hallway, so that'll be just a really interesting time. But my office is actually not in the front office. It is going to be kind of like a small classroom, and it is in the 5th grade hallway. So the great thing about that is I see the kids all the time. If they have a question, they can pop in, and I really get to know them better.
Thank you very much.
And I wanted to say a few thank yous before we open it up for questions. You probably saw some ZMS ambassadors as you came in the front door, and they may have helped you find your way down here. They'll also be offering tours when we wrap up here. We've got a ZMS tech crew here tonight. Hannah, Garrett, and Jack, you guys want to wave, raise your hands? They're recording this tonight, and they've been working with me all week in getting our equipment ready and set up, and so I appreciate them being here this evening. Our music teachers and Mrs. Vidal, thank you for joining us, and parents, we thank you for being here tonight as well. I want to open it up for questions.